Shalom, Hebrews. It's Israel been Israel for the Israelite Brotherhood. I'm finna do this video, man, on how King Solomon was demoted to a prince, and how King Solomon was real wicked, and how King Solomon in his last days, as he got older, he brought the whole kingdom down, and we are basically in slavery right now because of what Solomon did. You see what I'm saying? Even though we had one chance to get it right, and it was only for like 33, 40 years compared to the 500, 600 years of not doing the covenant that we did. You see what I'm saying? Because we was on Egyptian culture. We was on that Egyptian culture for 300 years. And the Egyptians would come kill King Josiah. Soon as the Egyptian religion was cleaned up, they would come kill him and put us back on the Egyptian religion, and we would go into Africa. But all this stemmed from what Solomon did. You see what I'm saying? Solomon allowed Jeroboam to be chased into Egypt. And then while he was in Egypt, Pharaoh gonna school him and let him know that they can, and this is what you should be doing, and so forth. Because the Egyptians had to do trade on the other side of the promised land. See, if the Egyptians didn't trick us out of our heritage, then it was basically curtains for the Egyptians. You see, it was basically curtains for the Egyptians. And that's why I believe that Pharaoh gonna be real slick and give Solomon his daughter. You see what I'm saying? Because, that would ensure after King David's, after King David passed away around about 970 BC, and then Solomon come on, King David was hard on them folks. He was hard on them folks. It wasn't no trespassing across the promised land. He wasn't trying to get up with the Egyptians, marrying to them, and he was pushing a real hard Hebrew land. You see what I'm saying? And he was trying to get our heritage and get our land, and he was trying to get those wicked people about the land that the Creator had gave us. You see what I'm saying? That the Creator had gave us. And the culture that we had got from Moses, the covenant, was a new culture that was anti-Egyptian, anti-Amorite, Mesopotamian culture. You see what I'm saying? And it was the Hamite family groups that destroyed us. You know what I'm saying? That's why I be tripping out how we be saying black power, we Africans, and we this and we that. But you don't see no signs of the Africans even mention us in no kind of way to come help us, or to even acknowledge that we was enslaved and that we was over there. And how about come bringing us up out of there to restore us to what we supposed to be? Everybody know that we got to be mentally damaged. The whole earth know that we are mentally damaged from what happened in the transatlantic slave trade, and that we ain't recovered, and that we are some messed up people basically because that. But our messed upness and how we got throwed off and messed up kind of go back a little farther than that. They just expound on it and expanded it. You know what I'm saying? Our wickedness is so great, and we have no control of it, that the Creator got to free us from this situation that we in. It's no other hope for us, because we don't get free. It's impossible for us to free ourselves with the mentality that we hold now, and what they created in the transatlantic slave trade on those plantations. They turned us into a monster. See what I'm saying? And the only way to come back to what you originally supposed to be is to come into your Hebrew Israelite heritage. There's no other way. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is now. You know what I'm saying? You got to come back into your Hebrew Israelite heritage in order to get some dignity and some respect back in this world, because they done wiped us out. You know what I'm saying? And we basically was wiped out since King Solomon. Like I said, Solomon was wicked. And if you listen to those Jews in the Jewish myths, see, it's some people that we abandon our heritage to, that's responsible for Babylon's history, and that's responsible for the whole Western history that we know today. And they created all the myths that you know today, especially the myths dealing with our heritage, the Israelite heritage. And one of those myths is that Solomon was wise. Solomon was a wise king, they say. The only reason that they say Solomon was a wise king is because Solomon tricked us out of our heritage by messing with those other folks, you know what I'm saying, that we wasn't supposed to mess with, especially Pharaoh's daughter. And then Solomon also allowed for the Edomites to come out of Egypt. You know, the Edomites got an Egyptian, the Edomites have an Egyptian heritage, and that's why the Edomites control Egypt now today. And some Hebrews be saying, the Egyptians coming back. It's in the scriptures. The Egyptians coming back. Yeah, the Egyptians then came back through their Edomite heritage. You see what I'm saying? And the Edomites control Egypt now. That's why come ain't nothing being said, and they all get along, and all them people is cool. You know what I'm saying? Because the Edomites ran to Egypt, was chased to Egypt during King David's days. And King David would have basically, if we would have followed after King David and stayed strong on the covenant, that would have been the end of Edom. But because he had wiped the Edomites out, you see what I'm saying? And then they get their strength back and get back strong by going to Egypt. And then if we would have followed the law, then they all would have been trapped up in there, and could none of them come across the promised land, and that would have slowly destroyed the Egyptian culture and everything, because the Egyptians did trade in Mesopotamia. You know what I'm saying? They did trade in Mesopotamia. You know what I'm saying? That's, you know, the Mesopotamia area, those were they kinfolks, you know what I'm saying? The Amorites and the other Canaanite groups that controlled Mesopotamia. And the Amorites are like the slick founders of Babylon. And a group of them was placed back, was placed in our land during the time when we was on the Egyptian religion. See, everything got to tie into Egypt. That's why the Creator said we'll be taken to Egypt in ships. You know what I'm saying? And this is where our punishment in this new Egypt. And to prove that America is the new Egypt, I can do that real quick. All right, if you look at this right there, that obelisk right there, that's the obelisk of King Necho. That's the obelisk that's in New York. That's called the Cleopatra Needle. And King Necho is in New York too. That's the image of the guy that killed King Josiah after he cleaned the Egyptian religion up. Well, this obelisk called the Cleopatra Needle was erected in Egypt when we went into bondage in Egypt around about 1450 BC. Not no years before or no years after. At the time that we went into bondage in Egypt, making them bricks and supporting the brick industry for the Egyptians and a textile industry and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They had us as slaves, as, you know what I'm saying, making, you know, bricks and building Egypt up and stuff. They storehouses and all that stuff, you know. And this obelisk was erected, and it's called the Cleopatra Needle, and they got it in New York. You know what I'm saying? And then how about this statue is of King Necho. Necho is going to be the king that killed King Josiah. King Josiah is going to be the king that, the Hebrew king that cleaned us up of the Egyptian religion. You see what I'm saying? And then after he cleaned us up of the Egyptian religion, about 30 some years, 40 years after that, the Egyptians come out and kill him. You know what I'm saying? And then put us back on the Egyptian religion. And then we get chased into Africa, and then our enslavement come down from there and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's, you know, basically what happened. But it all started from King Solomon. Wickedness. If King Solomon would have held on to what King David had going on, and then we would have stayed, you know what I'm saying, on those footing, then the kingdom wouldn't have never got split. We wouldn't have never got on the Egyptian religion, because Solomon basically chased Jeroboam into Egypt's arm, and everybody that didn't believe in the Creator fully went to Egypt. You see what I'm saying? And that's where the Edomites went. And the Edomites got an Egyptian heritage too. And I'm going to show this. And they at home too also. Alright. We dealing with King Solomon. And King Solomon, you know what I'm saying? Let's show that Pharaoh, let's show that old wicked Pharaoh in this institution didn't believe in the Creator. If you go to Exodus, that's going to be Exodus 5. Exodus 5, you're going to see Pharaoh ain't believing no Creator. Alright. This prophet Moses and prophet Aaron going in there to talk to Pharaoh, tell him to let Israel go, because Israel, you know what I'm saying, is the Creator's firstborn, meaning that this new culture that we was finna get, it was new, and it was finna extinguish them other folks' culture if we would have followed the law. Look, and thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, this saith the Elohim Yah, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. See what I'm saying? So we know we the Creator's firstborn. Alright. Alright, right here. This show that Pharaoh ain't believing no Creator. And afterward Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, this said the Elohim Yah of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, who is the Elohim that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the Elohim, neither will I let Israel go. See what I'm saying? So we know Pharaoh didn't believe in the Creator. The institution of the Pharaohs didn't believe in the Creator. So you know what I'm saying? So when when Solomon had Pharaoh's daughter, that was a bad thing. That wasn't no good thing. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, you know, Pharaoh was real slick, and them Egyptians had to do trade on the other side of the promised land. On the other side of the promised land, they had to do trade. So, you know, the Pharaoh gonna be real slick, and he gonna be looking out for his people, especially when Prophet Joseph is gonna go back to Prophet Joseph answering Pharaoh's dream, and Pharaoh seeing that his magicians and his sorcerers and his priests, that they wasn't no good, and Pharaoh had a long institution in history of having they gods and so forth, and they science and stuff being credited with their gods. Well, here come a Hebrew, came and undermined all that. You see what I'm saying? So Pharaoh gonna be slick and give Joseph Asenath. Asenath is gonna be the priest of On daughter, and from the priest of On, you gonna have Ephraim and Manasseh, and Manasseh and Ephraim, and the tribe of Ephraim did the Egyptian worship. You know, Jeroboam brung those 2 golden calves out. You know, Pharaoh gonna look after man, you know what I'm saying? He gonna look after his people. You know what I'm saying? Alright, if you get to Genesis 41:45, and Pharaoh called Joseph name Zephaniah Panini, and he gave him to wife Asenath, and the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Pharaoh went out all over, and Joseph went out all over the land of Egypt. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons. This is Genesis 41:50. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bore unto him. That's where this is where that obelisk come from. This is where that obelisk come from. Right where the priest of On them was. And right there, that's the, you know what I'm saying? That's where it come from, Halopolis, where the priest of On was. Alright. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for Yah had he that made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for Yah had caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. So, you know, Joseph was given Asenath. That was a slick strategic move by Pharaoh. You see what I'm saying? Like I say, Pharaoh and them had to do trade on the other side of the promised land. And if them Egyptians allowed us to do that covenant that Moses come out of the mountains with that was finna be curtains for the Egyptians and for the Canaanites. So the Egyptians trying to save them and the Canaanites, which they was kin to the people in Mesopotamia. You see what I'm saying? And some of the people from Mesopotamia, its scribes, the Babylonian scribes, was placed in our land while we was on the Egyptian religion after the Egyptians killed King Josiah. You know what I'm saying? And we run into Africa, they would inherit our whole heritage. I'm going to show this. And it all started from wicked King Solomon. Wicked King Solomon. All right. So, Joseph was given Asenath, the priest of On daughter. And then when we leave Egypt, Exodus, you know what I'm saying? If you go to Genesis 12:28, you'll see, and a mixed multitude went up also with them, flocks and herds, even very much cattle. So, some of them Egyptians that got on down with us is more or less gonna be the people that's kin to Joseph, them kids and them sons, you know what I'm saying, on that side. You know what I'm saying? They gonna dip and go into the promised land with us. Basically, that's what Pharaoh probably them planned. All this would throw us off in the latter days and cause us to lose our heritage for fooling with the Egyptian religion. We said we was going into Africa to worship it in the book of Jeremiah, and that was the 99%, and we was enslaved because of that. But it all go back to King Solomon. King Solomon, you know what I'm saying, letting all those folks into the promised land and mixing with them and mating with them and promoting that stuff. If we see the king mixing and promoting, you know what I'm saying, that stuff, that we're going to do the same thing. And that's one of the ways how the Babylonian scribes control you, is through that mixing. Babel means mix, and they control you through mixing. You know what I'm saying? They mix you. That's how you can see. This is when you see a brother that rise up and get some importance or something going on serious. They hurry up and throw him somebody else not related to his people. Or if they give him his people, it's finna be somebody wicked that's on his wicked level to bring him down. You know what I'm saying? All that go back to what Solomon did. You know what I'm saying? Them folks know how to bring us down and stuff. So them Egyptians, you know what I'm saying? I done already set the foundation of how Pharaoh didn't believe in the creator, and how them Egyptians would lead with us with Pharaoh being slick. And then you can see this, how, you know what I'm saying, them Egyptians leaving with us during Exodus was a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? So we know Solomon shouldn't have been messing with no Egyptians, and he should have known the history of our past. You see what I'm saying? And if you go to Exodus 32, you know what I'm saying, you'll see that we got throwed off right here. You know what I'm saying? Immediately coming out of Egypt, that, you know what I'm saying, we got throwed off. And Egypt gonna be the nation that broke us in. You see what I'm saying? To the wickedness with the idol worshiping and all that stuff. We would learn all that wickedness in Egypt. And that's where, we ran, you know what I'm saying, in our last days. All right. When all the people saw that Moses delayed to come out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what is become of him. I'm saying, and Aaron got the earrings and so forth, and he received them at their hands and fashioned it with a golden tool, and after he had made it molten calf, and said, This be the gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. Well, Jeroboam will go to Egypt, be chased to Egypt during Solomon reign, and when he come out, he would bring golden calves and put it on the northern kingdom, and we would be on the Egyptian religion from 931 to King Josiah was born. Well, King Josiah cleaned it up around about 621 before the Egyptians, killed him, and before then we was on Egyptian religion for about 300 some years. You know what I'm saying? So them Egyptians been out to destroy us, and we are basically enslaved because of the Egyptians. And Solomon opened the door for it because King David had cleaned the promised land, and driven them folks out, and then kind of got us something good going, and then cleaned the land up, and we getting in, we got our inheritance, our land. And then when he died and Solomon come on, Solomon had an Egyptian wife. You see what I'm saying? Pharaoh's daughter. You see what I'm saying? And it was downhill from there, because after Solomon's death, Jeroboam come out of Egypt, who was chased there during Solomon's reign, and he was from the tribe of Ephraim. And I just showed that the Ephraim was, mother was an Egyptian, and she would, Jeroboam would be chased there, and then up on Solomon's death, he would come out and bring 2 golden calves and put that on us, and that would stay on us. All right, I'm going to show that too. And then I'm going to get into how wicked Solomon was, and then I'm going to also show how the Edomites got Egypt, and how that's their land. You know what I'm saying? How Egypt belongs to the Edomites through the Edomite Egyptian heritage. See, the Edomites got an Egyptian heritage that's documented in the Tanakh, and those are the Egyptians that's there now. You see what I'm saying? Those are the Egyptians that's there now, but those are the Egyptians from the Edomite stock. Edomite stock. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show this. All right. Now let's show that Jeroboam, you know what I'm saying, brought them 2 golden calves. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna show that after I show what wicked Solomon did. Old King Solomon was real wicked, and he caused us to go into slavery. The slavery that we in now today gonna stem from what Solomon did. You know what I'm saying? And it was a combination of things, but it's basically from what Solomon did, because King David got us a good start. You know what I'm saying? And if we would have stayed on his land, then it would have been what it is today. We would have never broke the covenant and ran into Africa, being tricked out of our heritage by the Egyptians. All right. But King Solomon, you know what I'm saying, this is chapter 11. All right. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. So Solomon got Pharaoh, daughter as a wife. Now, we know the whole institution of the Pharaohs didn't believe in the Creator, because if they did, Solomon wouldn't have built all them temples and places of worship for those people on the promised land if they worshiped the same Creator that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob worshiped, which showed that they didn't. So Solomon was real wicked by having Pharaoh's daughter. You see, but Pharaoh gonna be slick like he was when he gave Joseph Asenath, is to give King Solomon his daughter. See, because he know that the Creator done talked to King Solomon just like the Creator done spoke to Joseph. You see what I'm saying? So Pharaoh gonna be slick and give King Solomon's Pharaoh's his daughter. You see what I'm saying? And that's gonna be real slick after King David gone. You see what I'm saying? They gonna hurry up and try to influence Solomon, because he gonna have the power. You see, if they could bring him down, then they could bring the whole nation of Israel down. And that's basically what they did. You see what I'm saying? So Solomon was a wicked king. Solomon was not a wise king like the Jewish myths would want you to believe. You see what I'm saying? They myths want you to believe that it's a 10 lost tribes. They myth want you to believe that we are some Negroes, African Americans plucked out of Africa for voodoo worship, and man, there's all kind of myths going on. But this the real, this the Israelite brotherhood. We're gonna show you the real on the heritage and what's going on. Them Amorites, the people who we abandon our heritage to, got all this going on because they want to keep our heritage, and they rule when the Israelites are not in power. So, if we ain't in power, then them folks gonna try to be in power, and you can only be in power by doing good or bad. and they in power by doing bad and got all this wickedness and stuff going on. And I'm gonna show the people that we abandon our heritage too for the Egyptian religion. But we see how Solomon got Pharaoh's daughter, so that's gonna be awful right there. You know what I'm saying? Man, he got the head daughter. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being given the priest daughter or some secondary power, he gonna get the main power from the main source, and that's gonna be Pharaoh. Okay, of the nations concerning which the Elohim said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. That was awful. You know what I'm saying? And then check this out. How about it's a known fact that if a Hebrew or a so-called black person got some importance or got something going on, they gonna hurry up and give him somebody else. They gonna mate him up with somebody else. You see what I'm saying? That's been going on since ancient time, how they destroy us like that, because the other people ain't gonna believe in the Creator, and you ain't gonna want to push no hard line believing in the Creator being with them folks. You see what I'm saying? So that's gonna weaken you, and then that's how they bring us down, and they've been doing it for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Traditions. All right. And he had 700 wives, princes, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it come to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Elohim his Yah, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Malcolm, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Elohim, and went not fully after the Elohim as David his father. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chishmosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molish, the abomination of the children of Ammon, and likewise did he for all his strange wives. So Solomon then turned real wicked, and what he did there will open the door for our enslavement. And that's why come they gonna say Solomon was wise. He was wise. He was wise because Solomon fell victim to the wishes and schisms that they was trying to pop to get us out of the covenant and get us up off the land. You see what I'm saying? So they was real slick with saying that Solomon is a wise man. That's because of Solomon wise, and you read his history and he did all that abomination, then they want you to do the same thing, thinking that that's wise when it's really wrong. You know what I'm saying? Solomon was a wicked king, and Solomon brought the whole Israelite nation down. We in slavery right now because of what Solomon did. All right, and likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrifice unto their gods. And the Elohim was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Elohim Yah of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he kept not that which the Elohim commanded. Wherefore the Elohim said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding in thy days I would not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Whereas I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. You know what I'm saying? So King David, King David was so hard on them Edomites and folks, and we know he just didn't come in and just butcher them. He gonna probably go into that town, them Hebrews and them folks gonna be thinking that they hard, and he gonna tell his soldiers, get up with him, and they gonna get up with them Edomites till they clear them out. And then Hadad fled to Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna show you the Egyptian Edomite lineage that got the Edomites in Egypt right now today as rulers. You see what I'm saying? And some and them brothers be saying, we the Egyptians sound like some dang fools. sounding like some dang fools. We the Egyptians and the Egyptian culture and rule. See, the system paying these suckers suit and setted, the real Merkaba, Pharaoh. It's a couple of them suckers. I got videos out on them showing how they trying to push that dead Egyptian culture on us to keep us damned and messed up, and how one, you know what I'm saying, they got some fire videos, had you convinced, and a whole lot of Hebrews be believing in that junk, not knowing that the Egyptian culture is what destroyed us. Yes, black pride and all that. The Egyptian culture destroyed us, and we were some black folks just like them, and they destroyed us and caused us to go into slavery. You see what I'm saying? It was the Egyptian culture that destroyed us. And Solomon was a wicked king. And Solomon opened the door up for our enslavement by fooling with Pharaoh's daughter too. You see what I'm saying? All right. And the Elohim stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad, the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. So this is going to be a Edomite king son. You see what I'm saying? The King David done come chased up out the land, and everybody that didn't believe in the Creator some kind of way always flee to Egypt. And there's one prophet that fled to Egypt that believed in the Creator during Jehoiakim days, King Josiah's son, and the Egyptians turned him over, and then they put him to death. You see what I'm saying? So everybody wicked gonna flee to Egypt. Jeroboam was given the kingdom, and then Solomon was after him after he found out he gonna get the kingdom, and I guess Pharaoh gonna tell Jeroboam that, hey man, you our king, man, and pop his game on him, and then get him them golden calves, and he gonna come out and put them on the northern kingdom soon as Solomon died. And then it was downhill from then. We was on Egyptian religion for 300 some years until King Josiah was born. That prophecy came to pass. He was born and he cleaned up the Egyptian religion. And them old funky devil Egyptians come out and killed him and put us back on the Egyptian religion. And we would go into Africa thinking to hide and live. And we was enslaved from there, and here we is now with a messed up heritage, all tore up in a strange land, worshiping false gods, all messed up. You know what I'm saying? Some of the Hebrews think they know what's going on and don't be spitting nothing but Jewish history. You see what I'm saying? And they be spitting them Jewish myths like it's real. You know what I'm saying? Well, them Babylonian scribes, you know what I'm saying? I'm exposed. They history too and what they about. Hopefully I get enough time to get all this in. This the Israelite brotherhood. All right, Solomon was so wicked. All right, King David and then told the Edomites up, and one of them ran to Egypt of the king's seed. You know what I'm saying? Of the Edomite king seed, and all this. You know, he would come out his bottle when Solomon's death. Everybody would, you know what I'm saying, come out and do their thing on us and get us up off the covenant and get us on into this slavery that we in today. All right. And the Elohim stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad. Man, Hadad, the Edomite, he was of the king's seed in Edom. For it come to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom. For 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel, until he had cut off every male in Edom. That Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants, him to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. See, so Egypt gonna give him refuge. If it's from the Creator and trying to get away from that covenant, Pharaoh gonna give them some refuge. See what I'm saying? And that's the way it's been going. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it was going. You know what I'm saying? In the biblical history. You know what I'm saying? If you was against the Creator, Pharaoh had a job for you and had a house for you and some food. All right. And they arose. Then Hadad fled, and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him to go into Egypt. Hadad being yet a little child, and they arose out of Midian and came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they come to Egypt unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, which gave him an house and appointed him food and gave him land. See, so the Edomites got some land in Egypt. You see what I'm saying? And then to show you Hebrews that the Edomites, you see what I'm saying, got an Egyptian heritage, and that those Edomites in Egypt is in control, and they all in cahoots together. If you go to Genesis 16:16. All right, Genesis 16:16. All right, Genesis 16:16. All right, Genesis 16:16 gonna show that the prophet Abraham had Ishmael by an Egyptian woman. And then I'm gonna show that Hagar went to Egypt to get Ishmael, an Egyptian woman, and that they stayed in Paran. See what I'm saying? That's gonna be what Edom took off from in King David's time to go into Egypt from Paran. That's gonna be where Ishmael descendants from. So them Egyptians now today ain't nothing but Edomites. You see what I'm saying? And the Edomites have an Egyptian heritage. So they gonna make sure that all the Israelite history that's related to us is blotted out, because they mix with those Sephardi Jews. All of them are one. You see what I'm saying? And they working together. So if it was ever any Israelite history there, you will never see it because of those Edomites. You see what I'm saying? That has an Egyptian heritage, and they control Egypt now. So that prophecy in the book of Isaiah been fulfilled when they say that the Egyptians would come back. Yeah, the Egyptian under their Edomite heritage came back. All right, Genesis 16:16. All right, and Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abraham called his son's name, which Hagar bore him, Ishmael. See what I'm saying? And we all know that Hagar was an Egyptian. Now Sarah's Abraham's wife bore him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. So we know she was an Egyptian. You know what I'm saying? And then she had a son by the prophet Abraham, and they named him Ishmael. All right, and then when you go to Genesis 21:21, you will see that it says, and this is about Ishmael, and he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. See what I'm saying? So we know Ishmael got Egyptian roots. You know, his mom an Egyptian, and he went to Egypt. You see what I'm saying? Well, they went to Egypt to get him a woman, so he all Egyptian with a little Hebrew in it. You see what I'm saying? His kids. You see what I'm saying? All right, and then when you get to Genesis 36, you're going to see that old Edom mixed with Ishmael descendants. You see what I'm saying? So that would give Edom Egyptian rights. You see what I'm saying? So when them brothers be saying, we the Egyptians, them Negroes is real wicked and evil, and we should get away from them. If a person say that we the Egyptians, you should run and hide. Don't believe in nothing they say. And like I say, that dude Suitin, Seti, the real Merkaba, and Pharaoh, all them working for the beast to destroy us, to put that Egyptian culture on us that messed us up. See what I'm saying? Alright, Genesis 36. Alright. And Esau, you know what I'm saying, took the wives, and Bishmath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Edom took Ishmael's daughter, so he gonna have some roots. And like I say, I can show, you know what I'm saying, how them Egyptians, you know what I'm saying, messed us up, you know, by giving Joseph Asenath, the priest of On daughter. You know what I'm saying? Alright, now let's do this like this. Alright, so we know Solomon was given Pharaoh's daughter, and we know that Pharaoh had some Edomites up in his nation. You know what I'm saying? All this gonna stem from King Solomon's wickedness. You know, Solomon brought the tribes of Israel down. Alright. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tapanhes, the queen. See, so Edom gonna get the Pharaoh's sister. So you know them Edomites got some heritage in Egypt. You see what I'm saying? As well as they was given land, and those the Edomites that's ruling now. Well, they would come out the bag when Solomon died. And the sister of Tapanhes bore him Jenub, and his son whom Tapanhes waned in Pharaoh's house, and Jenub was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his father, and that Joab the captain of the host was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, let me depart, that I may go to mine own country. Then Pharaoh said unto him, but what hast thou lacked with me, that behold thou seekest to go thine own country? And he answered, nothing, howbeit let me go in wise. And Yah stirred him up another adversary, Rezon, the son of Elidah, which fled from his lord Hadadezer, king of Zobia. And he gathered men unto him and became captain over a band when David slew them in Zobia. And they went to Damascus and dwelt therein and reigned in Damascus. And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon, besides mischief that Hadad did, and he abhorred Israel and reigned over Syria. So we know them Syrians got some Edomite roots. All right. And Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephraimite. You see what I'm saying? Showing that Jeroboam was from the tribe of Ephraim. You know what I'm saying? And I showed how Joseph was given the Asenath, and then Asenath had the two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, and then how they exodus with us in Exodus 12:38, and they exodus with us them Egyptians. And then when Moses go up and get the law, and when he come down, you know what I'm saying, we on the golden calves fooling with them Egyptians. You know what I'm saying? See, like I said, them Egyptians had to do trade on the other side of the promised land. So Pharaoh gonna be real slick and try to do everything he can to keep us from doing the covenant, as well as those other peoples, because if we do the covenant, then it's curtains and it's lights out for them. You know what I'm saying? Plain as simple as that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, they want to keep their culture going and not have the culture that the Creator gave us on Mount Sinai with Moses, that would extinguish their culture. You see what I'm saying? You know, it's like the Egyptians had to do trade on the other side of the promised land. So, you know, Pharaoh gonna be real slick when he gave Joseph Asenath. Asenath is the priest of our own daughter. You know what I'm saying? That's like he was real slick when he gave Solomon, when Solomon got Pharaoh's daughter. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, all that would, you know, work for the Egyptians to bring us down. All right. Now. All right. So Hadad then left Egypt and then went to Syria, and Jeroboam, you know what I'm saying, for the get the kingdom. All right. And Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zeruiah, Solomon's servant, whose mother name was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king. And this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Milo and repaired the breach of the city of David his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of value. And Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph. And it come to pass at that time, when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces. For this said the Elohim, the Yah of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give it 10 tribes to thee. But he shall have 1 tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, because they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Chichmush, and the god of the Moabites, and Malcolm, the god of the Ammon, and had not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in my eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgment, as David his father did. Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince. You see that Solomon was a prince. He was no longer a king in Almighty Yah's eyes. He was a prince. You see what I'm saying? So Solomon wickedness none demoted him down to a prince. So it'd be wrong for us Hebrews to keep calling him King Solomon when the Creator said that he was a prince, because he got demoted for worshiping and allowing them folks to mess us up. You know what Solomon did will cause our enslavement. All right. Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life, for David my servant's sake, whom I chose, because he kept my commandment and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto thee 10 tribes, and unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. And I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all that thou so desirest, and shalt be king over Israel. And it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and will walk in my ways, and do right, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with thee, and will build thee a sure house, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee. And I will for thee afflict the seed of David, but not forever. And Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, and Jeroboam arose and fled to Egypt unto Shawshank. So Solomon, being wicked, gonna drive him of Egypt, and he was in Egypt unto Solomon's death. So Solomon gonna drive Jeroboam into Pharaoh's hand. You see what I'm saying? Into Pharaoh's hand. You see what I'm saying? And it was during King Solomon's reign that all this went down, that the Edomites start coming around out of Egypt. After they got their Egyptian connection, Jeroboam go there, and he would come out, and he would put the 2 golden calves on us. All right, Solomon slept with his father. All right, so if you look at here on 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 28, you'll see that Jeroboam come out of Egypt after Solomon's death. You know what I'm saying? After Solomon's death, he gonna come out of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And then he gonna put the golden calves on us. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, it is too much for thee, for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. So what Pharaoh done did while he was in Egypt is working. You see what I'm saying? Right there. And that would make us lose the covenant right there. You see, because we would be on the Egyptian religion for 300 years, and that was in us. You see what I'm saying? For 300 years, to King Josiah cleaned it up around about 621 BC, but he come on the throne around about 631 BC, and then he started to clean it up, and then he cleaned the whole kingdom up of the Egyptian religion, and then the Egyptians would come out and kill him and put us back on the Egyptian religion, and then we would go into Africa in the book of Jeremiah, and we was enslaved from there. And the ones that was took to Babylon during the Babylonian wars, that little 1%, when they come back, they was killed off so fast for mixing with those folks, like them people, like them Palestinians getting it now, where the exiles got knocked off so fast. All right. The people we abandon our heritage to, that Solomon allowed to open the door, man, to get our heritage. You know what I'm saying? That's like it's only two groups. It's only two groups of Jews. You know what I'm saying? It's the Sephardi's and the Ashkenazis. You know what I'm saying? And the Sephardi Hebrew name is Sepharavim. We call them Sepharavim. And that's the Hebrew word for Sephardi, Sephardic, and Sepharadim. Those are some scribes from Sippar. Sippar and Nippur are the Babylonian scribe towns. You see what I'm saying? And you couldn't be a king nowhere in the Mesopotamia area unless you got it from Nippur. And Sippar is the Hebrew word for the Sepharavims, and those were Babylonian scribes. They controlled the whole Babylon history of your gods, Marduk, Norjal, and their favorite god was this god named Nebo. He was a scribing god. That's like your whole administration and your whole ideology with words, meanings of words and numbers, and how to set governments up, police agencies, and all that. That come from the Babylonian scribes that we abandon our heritage to. That's like people don't know that the Jews got their power when we Hebrews abandon our heritage to the for some Egyptian religion. You see what I'm saying? And that's like after Jeroboam, after Solomon's death, because Solomon opened the door up for all that wickedness. You know, all those peoples and temples were still in the land after Solomon's death. You see what I'm saying? Rehoboam ain't tried to get rid of that stuff, and Jeroboam didn't get rid of it because he brung the Egyptian gods out on us. You see what I'm saying? And if you look at 1 Kings 13, this was a prophecy for King Josiah. And behold, there came a man of Yah out of Judah by the word of the Elohim unto Bethel. And Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense. And he cried against the altar in the word of the Elohim, and said, O altar, altar, this saith the Elohim, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon thee shall he offer the priests of the high places that burnt incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burnt upon thee. Okay, King Josiah was the only time after he was born for us to get right and try to make it. You see what I'm saying? It was the only time for us to try to make it, because after King Josiah's death and the Egyptians killed him, they would put his sons on the throne, and we would go back to Egyptian worship, and we would run into Africa, and we would stay there till the transatlantic slave trade started. Plain and simple as that. Hebrew history easy. You know what I'm saying? It's the Israelite brotherhood. If you go to Jeremiah, well, wait. First, let's read about King Josiah. I'm going to try to get that in real quick. King Josiah, you go to 2 Chronicles 30. 2 Chronicles chapter 30. All right, 2 Chronicles chapter 34. And then you read what King Josiah did. Now, he cleaned the Egyptian, you know what I'm saying? He cleaned the Egyptian worship up after 300 years. You know, that's like all the prophecies in the prophecies in the other prophets books like Isaiah and so forth, that was talking about somebody from the house of David coming. Well, the Babylonian scribes, the people, the Sephardims, who was placed in our land in 722 BC, who we abandoned our heritage to, they would create all those myths. You see what I'm saying? All right, I'm gonna show them being placed in our land too. All right. King Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign. Now, this is a prophecy to come to pass from way back in Solomon days, 300 years, and then it finally come to pass. And this is our only chance to be free and not to be enslaved, and to do the covenant and to extinguish all the other cultures' lights out. It was a dim hope because King Josiah was only around about 40 something years, and then after he was gone, it was over with. You know what I'm saying? We got enslaved after that. We never could get back right and get back on the right track, and it caused us to fall. But it all came from what King Solomon did. All right, Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 130 years. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Elohim, and walked in the ways of David his father, and declined neither to go to the right hand or to the left. For in the 8th year of his reign, while he was yet young, he began to seek after the Yah of David his father. And in the 12th year he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places, in the groves, in the carved images, in the molten images. They break down the altars of Balaam in his presence, in the images that were on high above them. He cut down in the groves, in the carved images, in the molten images. He brake in pieces and made dust of them, and stowed it upon the graves of them that had sacrificed upon them. And he burnt the bones of the priests upon their altars, and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. See, just like that prophet said about Jeroboam, you know what I'm saying? What King Josiah would do. You see what I'm saying? All right, so did he in the cities of Manasseh, Ephraim, Simon, even unto Naphtali, with their mattucks round about. That go to show you that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. You know, the Syrians was over and done with when King Josiah come about. You know what I'm saying? And when his great grandfather, King Hezekiah, was on the throne, the Israelites was still in the nation then. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of Hebrews be using Jewish myths to try to explain Hebrew Israelite history, and you only gonna get some clear history. You know what I'm saying? With the Israelite Brotherhood, we got thousands of hours of research. You see what I'm saying? All right. So did he in the cities of Manasseh and Ephraim and Simon, even unto Naphtali, with their mattucks round about. And when he had broken down the altars and the groves, and beaten the graven images into powder, and cut down all the idols throughout all the land of Israel, he returned to Jerusalem. So, you know what I'm saying, he cleaned up the whole, you know what I'm saying, Israelite, you know what I'm saying, he cleaned up our whole kingdom, northern and southern. King Josiah did, and the Egyptians would come out, you know what I'm saying, and get him, you know what I'm saying, and then put us back on the Egyptian religion, and then we will go into Africa. You know what I'm saying? If you go to the book of Jeremiah, you will see that the prophet Jeremiah was around during King Josiah's 13th year on the throne. You know what I'm saying? Soon as King Josiah started to clean everything up, prophet Jeremiah was right there. See what I'm saying? And you can see this right here. And it says this. Alright. The words of Jeremiah the son of Hilkiah, that was his father, the priest that was, you know, found the book to give to King Josiah too. Of the priests that were in Anath in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of the Elohim came in the days of Josiah, the son of Amon, king of Judah, in the 13th year of his reign. It come also in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, prophet Jeremiah was there, and after the Egyptians killed him, you know what I'm saying, we would go into Africa. You know what I'm saying? To worship the Egyptian religion. You know what I'm saying? If you go to Jeremiah chapter 44, you know, I'm just summing it up. You know what I'm saying? It all leads to this. All right, chapter 44, verse 15, 16, 17, and 18. This was a state of mind. This was a state of mind. And after they killed King Josiah, we went to the Egyptian religion. All right. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, see, we had got chased off the land by Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi chased us off the land under the name Scythian during the Babylonian wars. Ashkenazi made up the Chaldean army. You know, Ashkenazi was Chaldea, basically. You know what I'm saying? And under the name Scythian. And they chased us into Africa because we said that we was going to do the Egyptian religion. You know what I'm saying? That we was worshiping the Egyptian religion. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we got enslaved and end up in the conditions that we in now. And the Jews having our heritage. And I'm going to show that real quick too. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt. And Pathros answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, and our princes in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of food and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. You know what I'm saying? We had ran into Africa to worship their religion. And then if you go to 2 Kings 26. This is during the Babylonian wars. You know what I'm saying? And all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies arose and came to Egypt, for they was afraid of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans was Ashkenazi. And then if you go to the book of Ezekiel, this was at the beginning of the Babylonian wars. Man, he said this, you know what I'm saying? That Egypt had turned us out from the beginning, as I showed how we was worshiping the Egyptian religion and golden calf when Moses went up to get the law. All right. Then let me see. The word of the Elohim came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughter of one mother, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the tents of their virginity. See what I'm saying? So the Egyptians turned us out from the beginning, as can be seen, as I have shown, how Joseph was given Asenath. Joseph was given Asenath. If you go to Genesis 41, show this again. Genesis 41. Genesis 41, 45. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zephaniah Paneah, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. And Joseph went out all over Egypt. See what I'm saying? And unto Joseph were born sons before the year of the famine came. And Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, the priest of On, bore unto him. And Joseph called the name of the first Manasseh, for Yah, he had made him forget all his toil and my father's house. Pharaoh hooking him up. In the name of the second called he Ephraim. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's the priest of On daughter. You know what I'm saying? And then when we Exodus, you know what I'm saying, and Moses go get the law, you know what I'm saying, guess who Exodus with us? Some Egyptians. See what I'm saying? This Exodus 12, 38. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, flocks and herds, even very much cattle. So the Egyptians done come with us. And then you get to 32, when Moses go get the law, you know what I'm saying, and then, you know, we start doing that Egyptian worship, you know what I'm saying, while Moses gone, you know what I'm saying. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Make us gods which shall go before us. For this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what become of him. Aaron get their earrings, the gold and stuff, and he fashioned them at their hand and fashioned it with a graven tool after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be the gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. So we know that the Egyptians, the old wicked Egyptians, had to trick us up out the covenant, because if they didn't, it was curtains for the Egyptians in that Amorite Canaanite culture. You see what I'm saying? In that Canaanite culture, Amorite culture controlled Babylon. You see what I'm saying? Controlled Babylon and stuff. And the people from Babylon, who we abandoned our heritage to when we went into Egypt to worship the Egyptian religion. If you go to 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 24. 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 24. You'll see that word Sepharvaim. Sepharvaim. And those are the Babylonian scribes, the people that's responsible for the whole Western history as governments and everything. They set it all up, the meanings of words and everything. And then they had trade routes all over the world. You know what I'm saying? The Amorites did. The Amorites had a culture before we did, and those people represent the Amorites. And when we got chased into Africa and left our heritage to them after they was placed there, it was like the Amorites was getting their land back. You see what I'm saying? Getting control of their land back. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cutter and from Abel and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. I now tell everybody over and over, the word Sepharvaim is what we call them because we knew where they was from and what they was about. But when we went into Africa and abandoned our heritage, we didn't take no scribes in to keep recording covenant history while we was doing Egyptian African religion. You see what I'm saying? So, them people got our heritage and stuff. And the word Sepharvaim means Sephardi, Sephardic, and Sephardim. And they was placed in our land in 722 BC. And then if you go to Second Chronicles 30 under King Hezekiah, they came to the Passover done. See what I'm saying? So they was there. This is in 715 BC. And then as you read down, you see that there's no 10 lost tribes, you know what I'm saying, and that we escaped the Syrians and everything. But when you get to verse 25, and all the congregation of Judah and the priests and the Levites and all the congregation that come out of the land of Israel and the strangers that come out of the land of Israel that dwelled in Judah rejoice. That was those Sephardi Jews, you know what I'm saying, the Sephardims, Ashkenazi come into our heritage under the name Chaldean. You see what I'm saying? Skimpy. You see what I'm saying? So all this would come to pass and everything would come to fruition about what the Egyptians did because what King Solomon opened the door. King Solomon was a wicked king. So we can't never believe when they say Solomon was a wise king. No, Solomon was a wicked king that destroyed the Israelite nation. You know what I'm saying? So, there's a lot of history going on and there's a lot going on. And you know what I'm saying, you brothers and sisters got to look up some of the other videos on the Israelite Brotherhood channel on YouTube. And, I pray that, this message reach y'all and that you get an understanding. This is Israel being Israel for the Israelite Brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, a lot of you Hebrews be teaching Jewish history, the myths that the Jews created. You see what I'm saying? And that can't lead us into no heritage. You know what I'm saying? That can't lead us into no heritage. You know what I'm saying? You have to separate the difference between Jewish history and what's Israelite history. Hebrew Israelite history and the Israelite Brotherhood do that, and we know how to do that. Shalom. This Israel been Israel for the Israelite Brotherhood. Solomon was a wicked king, and what Solomon did caused us to lose our heritage when he allowed all those religions to come into the promised land, and that destroyed us, that we never recovered. Because King Josiah, after he cleaned the land up, the Egyptians would come get him and kill him, and we would go back to Egyptian religion, and we would go into Africa in the book of Jeremiah, and there we was enslaved. And that 1% that was taken to Babylon that come back, the Greeks destroyed them. You see what I'm saying? King David's lineage gonna end. King David's lineage gonna end around about 420 BC. Under these folks right here, these people right here, and Jesus' lineage does not match up with this. These are the last descendants of King David, 420 BC. And then after they was destroyed, the exiles, then the Jews start creating all kind of false history, and that's the history that y'all believe in today. Shalom. This is Israel being Israel for the Israelite Brotherhood.